Well, that didn't work out. When I did the chair seats for these outside patio chairs, I went ahead and uh, left these outside because that was the original intent all along. I figured it would rot over time and turn gray, and that would be okay. But I did not even think of what happened was going to happen, and that's because I don't have a lot of experience with outdoor furniture. The steel frame of the seats captured the wood, and guess what? As the wood expanded, it warped. And you can see a pretty significant warp there. And this is the good one. This one right here is the one that had that crack in that I didn't think was going to be that much of a problem, and it ended up breaking. Right? Not all the way through, but it's still broken. The reason why I didn't think it was going to be a problem is I had purchased a sample can of outdoor stain. And I said, okay, the outdoor stain I've used in the past pretty much sealed the wood. And it did the job it needed to do. Well, either this sample can isn't true stain and it's just a color sample, is what it says. It's a color sample. Or it didn't seal the wood as adequately well as I'd hoped. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically cut out this crack. And that's going to make this whole board a little thinner, which is okay. If it's thinner, then it won't expand that much again. And then I'm going to re-glue it together. And if I have to do any surface prep and restaining, that's fine. Then what I'm thinking of doing is painting on some epoxy. On this one, the crack is not as prominent, it's just right here. So, but I'm going to cut it in half too, and I'm going to re-glue it so then I can cut out this warp. Because most of the warp is in the center. So I think that it'll be fine if I do that. And I'll paint them both with epoxy, seal up the wood, and then we'll see what happens next time. See if it happens again. So watch on, and we will see how this works out. All right, I got these glued back together, but now there is a shape where the bow is in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plane out the center here and straighten it up, and I'm going to plane the edges. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it's got to be close enough. And then restain it, and then after that I'm going to paint on some epoxy. So here we go. Let's hope that the grain is in the right direction. We'll see. So what I have done is I've mixed up some casting epoxy, and I'm going to paint it on like paint, right? Just like paint. And I'm going to put gloves on because I don't want this stuff all over my hands. And then I'm going to let it set. We'll see what it looks like tomorrow. All I have is slow cast epoxy and slow hardener. And then we'll, if it needs a second coat, we'll put on a second coat tomorrow. So here we go. I'm going to just use a brush. Now I'm going to be thin in all these areas here, but where the cracks are, I'm going to go ahead and lay it on kind of thick. So here we go. Considering how thick this stuff is, I'm thinking it's probably going to only need one coat. What we're really trying to do is seal out the world from this wood. So we're not trying to add that much of a finish, just seal out the world so that when it rains, the wood doesn't soak it all up. This is all experimentation. I don't know if this is going to work. I suspect it will. I mean, epoxy is basically plastic, but it's separating from the wood. So, all right, that's one. That worked quite a bit better than I anticipated, especially with all the places where the epoxy was separating from the wood. But I worked it until the 90 minutes was up of the work time and just let it sit overnight. They're looking good. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the other side, flip them over and do the other side, and then I will give them a light sanding and put a very thin coat on top of that. And then I think these will be sealed from the elements forever. So I'm not going to video everything, but here we go. Well, this seems to have done the trick. We'll see how well this lasts. If you see anything else on these chairs, I'm going to do something completely different. We shall see. Finally, just remember, after every woodworking project, you should always count your fingers. You end with 10, good job.